Today, we're going to be going over the best card at every single position right now in college football 25. How I pick each player for each position, it really just comes down to certain abilities they have, what are their attributes have. Sometimes there's hidden stats on CFB Fan. It's a website. It's very similar to MUTGG, where sometimes guys will have certain traits that might make the card a little bit worse, and other cards might have traits that make them a little bit better. So with all that factored in, man, let's go ahead and look at the best cards in the game right now. Starting off with the quarterback, I'm going to go with Cam Newton as the best QB in the game. I know the Mike Vick just came out recently. He's actually currently my quarterback right now. But one thing that maybe two things you could say that suck about Mike Vick is, one, he does not throw a tight spiral, which is a very important thing as a quarterback. What a tight spiral is, the ball is going to get there a little bit faster compared to a guy that doesn't. You'll see a lot of Mike Vick's passes. He might start at the game throwing straight dots like bullets, but then throughout the game you'll notice that his passes, they're not even like spirals anymore. They're just so wobbly. That's one thing that really sucks about the Mike Vick card. He's also left-handed, so a lot of people have to get used to the left-handed mechanics and stuff. It's not nowhere near as bad as Madden, but I say all that to say that, in my opinion, Cam Newton's the best quarterback in the game because his stats are very similar to Mike Vick's. Mike Vick definitely has a lot better abilities than Cam Newton, but Cam Newton's just raw arm talent and just raw talent, I think, is what makes him the best in the game. Some quarterbacks are getting silver dot now. Cam Newton does not get that, and I think that's really the only big difference, in my opinion. He only gets it bronze, but even with that, I would still say he's the best QB in the game. Best running back in the game, this one was kind of a no-brainer. Reggie Bush. I think we can all agree on this one. You either have Reggie Bush or you've played against him. There's not really too much to say about this one. For wide receiver, I'm actually going to go with Xavier Worthy. Now, we have some really good wide receivers in the game right now. Xavier Worthy, I think, is the best. A.J. Brown's really good. Randy Moss is really good. I think there was another guy, but I like Xavier Worthy over all those guys. Xavier Worthy is the smallest one out of all of them. All their route running is very similar. Xavier Worthy's catching is actually it honestly might be the best. It's pretty close, but I don't really factor that in too much. The thing is, some of the things I look at is route running, speed, and honestly a really big one for me is your change of direction and your spin and juke move. What can you do with the ball in your hands after the catch? And Xavier Worthy blows Randy Moss and A.J. Brown out the water. I mean, because they really can't do a whole lot after the catch. Their juke and spin isn't really good. I think their change of direction might have not been too bad, but Xavier Worthy is going to be able to get wide open. He's one of the fastest players in the game, and he's going to be able to make tremendous plays after the catch, and his catching is really good, so I like Xavier Worthy. For tight end, I got to go with Vernon Davis, and I almost think it's not even close, to be honest. I mean, I actually used the Kyle Pitts, who you could make a case is probably the second best tight end, and I thought he was all right. I thought he was nothing crazy, but Vernon Davis, I mean, he's the fastest tight end in the game, and not only that, is his route running and his speed is really so good. He even has like 80 run blocking, which is really nice, and then he also has 94 deep route running, so he can run pretty much any route in the field. He's arguably just as fast as some of the top end receivers in the game, and he can run block. So yeah, Vernon Davis, no question. Now moving on to offensive linemen. Like I said, we're doing every single position literally, so we'll start with the left tackle. So how I looked at the offensive lineman was, for me, it was can you pass block and can you run block? To consider yourself to be the best at that position, you got to be able to do both. You can't just do one. So Diego Pons, in my opinion, is probably the best left tackle in the game. 6'5", 330. He can do pretty much anything out there. He's not even the highest overall, and I think the highest overall is that 95 left tackle from Texas. So I like Diego. That's called him Pons. Diego Pounds. I like Diego Pounds. Left guard Steve Hutchinson, 6'5", 313. Another just really good card. There's not really too many crazy guards in this game, but Steve Hutchinson is definitely one of the crazy ones. He looks really nice. Center, I'm actually going with a Rivals card, Connor Pay. This is also currently my center right now. When you look at some of the more top end overall centers in the game, they're not very balanced. Like, they might have really good run blocking, bad pass blocking, really good pass blocking, bad run blocking. Then they might just have some categories that are really bad. Like for example, maybe their pass block finesse is really low, which is an important stat. So in my opinion, I would think Connor Pay looks the most well balanced. I have him myself, so I can vouch. Right guard, we're going with TJ Shanahan, college football playoff card. Another guy just really well balanced. I think he, looks really good. This is our last offensive lineman, right tackle. Ronnie Staley is the guy that I'm going to go with. Another guy that I actually have on my team. He just looks like the best one. This is going to be our last player on the offensive side of the ball. Fullback, we can't leave the fullbacks out, man. We're going with 89 overall, Brock Lamp. There's not that many fullbacks in the game to begin with. I actually have him on my team. I don't even use a fullback. I just got it because I need nightmare players in my lineup, and he's got a 92 lead block. I know there's like a 90 overall fullback, I think from like Navy, but he doesn't actually have, like, his stats are actually awful. Like, he doesn't even have good, like, blocking stats at all. So, Brock Lamp is the best one that I would probably say in the game. Now we are on defense. We're going to start off with the corner. So there's some really good corners in the game. I went with Alpha Khan as the best in my opinion. Jalen Ramsey looked really good. The Revis looked really good. The Gauntlet guy looked pretty solid. But when I looked at the corners, I wanted to get a guy that could play man and he could play zone and is fast and can pretty much just do it all. And Alpha Khan, in my opinion, he can do it all. I mean, you could easily have this guy up to 95 man and 95 zone with a DB strat card. He's very fast. He's 6'1". He even has 85 tackling, which at one point, that's almost kind of what it came down to with him and Jalen Ramsey, because they were kind of my finalists. They actually had the same tackling, so but Alpha Khan had I think better zone than Jalen Ramsey. So yeah, this guy's a straight up beast. Best strong safety in the game, I'm gonna go with Pig Cage. Now I know he is 5'9", and that's gonna deter a lot of people away from this card, but the guy can play man, the guy can play zone, he can tackle, he's got some hit power, he can pretty much do everything on the field. The only thing is he's just a little bit smaller and 5'9", and for me that really doesn't deter me away. I've never been scared to use small DBs. You know, I don't know. I feel like that whole narrative where they're going to get agged and all that stuff. Well, I mean, if they're doing their job, they're going to break the ball up most of the time. So, I like this card a lot. For free safety, for me, it was pretty easy, honestly. It was Tyrann Mathieu. I think, like, the next closest thing might have been, like, Cam Chancellor, but honestly, I wouldn't even say that was the next closest thing. Probably there was probably someone else I looked at. I can't remember, but that Cam Chancellor card, I'm not gonna lie to you, he's not very good, which kind of sucks as Cam Chancellor. But Tyrann Mathieu, though, like I said, he kind of wins by default for free safety. There isn't like a crazy amount of good free safeties, or well, at least up to this level, which you see Tyrann Mathieu stats. Once again, another smaller DB, 5'9", but don't worry about it, he'll be fine out there. Moving on to the linebackers, we're moving on from the secondary, starting off with the middle linebacker. I'm going to go with Danny Stutzman. I still think he's the best backer in the game. There's a lot of newer guys that have came out that look really good, but Stutzman, in my opinion, I think he's the best one. And it's not just because he's the fastest. I mean, the guy's 6'4". A lot of these other new backers coming out, they're slower than him, and they're not as tall as him. They're like 6'1", 6'2", so this guy's got the height, he's got the speed. Now, are his coverage stats as good as those other backers? 82 zone, 73 man? No. But you're getting yourself a man in the box, and that's what you want at the end of the day. Left outside linebacker, we're going with Vic Beasley. This card's honestly disgusting. I didn't even know like this card was kind of a thing, and he's insane. I mean, 92 speed, you're putting him off the edge. He's got a 93 power move and a 94 finesse move. He's got 95 strength. He's got the block shed. He can get to the quarterback. He can play the run. Now, obviously, maybe some people want their outside backers to play coverage. I kind of look at the outside backers, and I want them to be a little bit more pass rush heavy than pass coverage. That's kind of how I look at it. So, maybe the way I rank those might be a little bit different than how you do, but Big Beasley off the edge, he's going to be nasty. Right outside linebacker, I went Mekhi Gabair. I think that's how you say his name. It was between him and Kyle Van Noy. Now, I almost gave it to Kyle Van Noy because Kyle Van Noy is kind of a two-way guy. You can put him off the edge as a bit of a pass rusher, or you could kind of like use him, put him in coverage, do different things with him. But I gave it to Gabair just because he's just that much better as a pass rusher with that 95 power move. Fast, he could play the run. It could be arguable, if you want to put Kyle Van Noy in this spot, it's fine. But like I said, I always look at my outside backers, and the only thing I care about is pass rushing. And Gabair, he could pass rush. Left end, I actually went with Nick Bosa. The other guys were you have the new guy for season 4, the guy from Florida State, and then there was somebody else, but I like Nick Bosa over both of those guys. And one of the main reasons is his block shed. But all these guys have the high pass rushing moves. They all are very similar in speeds. But the thing Bosa has over those guys is his block shed. He's going to play the run a lot better than those guys are. And like I said, their pass rushing stats are very similar. Speed and all that stuff is real similar. So, the fact that Bosa will be, and like his block shedding is way more by a long shot. Like those other guys, I don't even know if they had a 90 threshold block shed. This guy's got almost 95, so I like Bosa a lot more. For right end, I went with Max Crosby, and this one was not close. I mean, there was no one even like comparable to him. It was like a bunch of like 92s that are just, you know, they're not low stats. They didn't look very good. So Crosby kind of wins by default. I've actually used his card. He actually is pretty good. Best D tackle in the game goes to Blazin Lono Wong. I think that's how you say his name. And it was pretty tough because there's some really good D tackles. You had Cameron Hayward, then you had Shaquille Williams from Ohio State. Those are kind of my three guys I broke it down to, and I got to give it to Blazin because one, he's way faster than those guys. Well, I'm not gonna say way faster than them, but he is faster than them. You know, their strengths are very similar. He's got a really good finesse move. He's got the block shed. He just looked a little bit more well-rounded than a lot of those guys. I will say he's a little bit smaller at 6'4", 285, which that's not small by any means. But besides that, though, this guy's really good. Last but not least, we got to go to special teams, the kicker and the punter. So for kicker, I went with Spencer Porata. I don't know how you say his name. I like him as the best kicker in the game. He's got 93 kick power, which is the second most kick power in the game. The guy that has the most is the Boise State kicker. He has 95, but the problem is his ability. You can't rock like an ability stack on him. Like for example, with this guy you can put on Mega Leg Gold and you can put on Deep Range Silver. With the Boise State guy, you can only pick one of those abilities. So you're gonna lose 2 less kick power, but at least you're gonna have, you know, abilities that are gonna make your life a whole lot easier when kicking. And for our very final position, we have the punter, Tyler Perkins. He has the most kick power of all the punters. He's got 90 kick power. I think there's a couple guys that are like higher overalls than him, but they only have like 88 kick power. And the most important thing when punting the ball is your kick power. So because of that, he is the best punter in the game. So that is it. Those are the best players in the game at every single position, in my opinion. If there are some that you guys disagree with down in the comments, we can start a dialogue. You know what I mean? If there's someone that wasn't on here that you thought should have been on here, then let's start a dialogue. That's pretty much all I got for this one, though, boys. If you did enjoy this video, man, drop a like. And if you're not subbed to the channel, sub to the channel, man. We got lots of more College Football 25 content on the way. So make sure you do that. Until next time, man, I'll see y'all in the next one.